Hello everyone, my name is Shreya and I am a legal intern at Lexis and Company. I am pursuing BLLB Honours from Law College Dehradun, Uttaranchal University. I am currently in 7th semester and I am very glad to have this opportunity of interning at Lexis and Company, because of which I am able to present to you guys with this video. So the topic for today's video will be judicial control over the legislative authorities. So I'll be discussing the first part of this topic, judicial control, that is the substantive control, and I'll discuss the procedural control in my next video. So yeah, let's begin. So first of all, I'll explain why there is a need for control over the delegated legislature or the executive authority. So in current scenario, what happens here is that the legislative powers can be validly delegated to the executive within the permissible limit, but the problems comes when the executive authorities excessively use these powers which are given to them by the legislature. Therefore, we need a mechanism to take control on such power, to have a control on such powers, and it becomes necessary to enforce various kinds of controls over the executive authorities. So this is the basic problem. So it has been rightly said that one has to find out a middle path between these two conflicting principles, and the delegated legislation has thus become inevitable, and but the question of control has become really crucial, no matter how important, how inevitable delegated legislature is. So there are basically three types of control over the administrative authorities. Those are judicial, legislative, and the other controls. So let's begin with the judicial control. The delegated legislature comes within the scope of judicial review, and in almost all the democratics there is a power given to the courts that they can decide the validity of delegated legislature, mainly on the basis of two kinds of tests, that is the substantive ultra vires test and the procedural ultra vires test. So what is ultra vires? Ultra vires means something which is beyond the power, or which is beyond the authority of any other authority or any person or any other body. When there is lack of power, an act may be said to be ultra vires when it has been done by a person or a body of persons which is beyond his or its power, which has been given to it by the legislature or any other authority or jurisdiction. So what is substantive ultra vires? Substantive ultra vires means when an act of legislature which has been enacted by the which has come into the form because of some constitutional law or any other parent act, and it uses its power in the excess. Therefore, the excess of power conferred on the legislature by the constitution or any other parent act, such kind of legislature is said to be ultra vires to that parent act or constitution. So substantive ultra vires means that the delegated legislature goes beyond the scope of the authority conferred to it by the parent statute or the constitution, and it is a fundamental principle of law that a public authority cannot act outside its power, that is ultra vires, outside the powers given to it. So the delegated powers, the power delegated by the statute is limited to its terms and conditions, and relevant to its objects, and the delegate must act in good faith, reasonably, intra vires the power granted, and on relevant consideration it should not go beyond those powers which has been conferred to it. So what are the circumstances when the mm, when there is a valid ground for substantive ultra vires? Okay, so there are 11 points. First is where the Parent Act is unconstitutional. Second, where the Parent Act delegates essential legislative functions. Third, where the delegated legislation is inconsistent with the Parent Act. Fourth, where delegated legislature is unconstitutional, is inconsistent. Fifth, it is inconsistent with the general law, and it is arbitrary, it is unreasonable, it is malified, it where the delegate has further delegated its power, that is the sub-delegation. Next is it excludes judicial review. Judicial review is one of the very important point which every delegated legislature should have in its purview, because if there is no point for judicial review, then such act will be null and void. And the last is that the delegate legislature has been operates retrospectively. So these were the points where it will be held unconstitutional. Delegated legislation will be held unconstitutional on these grounds. So what is the effect now? If they are unconstitutional, what will happen? When an action which is ultra virus has been taken place without the jurisdiction, it will be null and void, and there will be no legal effect of any action which has taken place. It will be assumed that such action has never took place. So it will have no legal leg to stand on, and once a court declares that some administrative act is legally a nullity, the consequence is that such act has not happened at all. So there will be no question of estoppel against the Ultra Vires Act, neither there will be any question of acquiescence or waiver, and yeah, this is it. There will be no question of acquiescence, waiver and estoppel. So this will be the other. So next up here are the two cases. First case is of Loya Machines Limited versus Union of India. What happened in this case? The Supreme Court had observed that if a rule made by a rule-making authority is outside the scope of its power, it will be void, and it is not at all relevant that it will not be relevant that its validity has been questioned for a long period of time. If a rule is void, it will remain void, and whether it has been acquiesced or not, it will remain void. But there was this case of Sahani Silk Mills versus ESI Corporation. What happened here was that the Parent Act had enabled the corporation to delegate its power to the Director General, and who in turn sub-delegated its power to the regional directors. So regional director in their power had recovered some damages, and such action was challenged, the action of the regional directors. But though there was sub-delegation, though this sub-delegation was held to be invalid, yet the Supreme Court did not direct the refund of amount which was already collected as damages from the employees. So there will be a difference on the basis of case to case. So yeah, this was it about today. I hope you guys have liked this video. Do not share to like and share this video as much as you can, and ask me questions if you have any, and also share with me the feedback. So thank you everyone.